fingers are in the way.
You're a trooper.
I was already nervous about being live. I don't like being live.
Because you're going to say the N-word?
No.
I'm just
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to?
No, you're definitely not allowed to. Ask Earthquake. This is more of a question for him than me.
Yeah. We already clicked go. Are we going?
Not yet. It takes me a second. It makes me name the thing, and there's a couple beats here. But yeah, don't say anything you don't want to be live, just in case. All right, here we go. I think we're going.
Couldn't you record it live and then couldn't you record it live and then edit out all the unfunny parts? You know what I'm saying?
No, we're not worried about being funny. We're worried about being interesting. Welcome, everybody. 50 Toasts. My great friend Tom Simmons just had a power outage and got in his car and drove somewhere to park and still do it anyway. You're a trooper.
Yes. You know, I was trying to make it to Home Depot in time to see if they had a generator I could either buy or rent. So.
Really?
Well, I don't know. Like it's been raining for a lot of days, so the ground is soaked. So I'm sure a tree fell over somewhere, and my power's out for God knows how long. And now I got a freezer because now I got to store food in my house just in case of doomsday. And you know what I'm saying. So now I got to get a thing to keep that going after the power goes out. So,
you got to buy gas for the generator, and never ends. Or you could just sit in the car and talk to me for 35 minutes and then go home and everything will be fine. Let's plan for that.
Oh, that'll be great. I love that positive spin, Costaki.
That's a better angle. Hey, buddy. So to the viewers, this is Tom Simmons. Tom and I, Tom's a great stand-up comic, so good it hurts my feelings sometimes. And we started together in, I don't know, 100 years ago, somewhere in little shitty bars around Atlanta. And you were a little bit ahead of me, right? I remember watching you and thinking, he had this bounce in your step, and you would sometimes
I don't really mean by
land hard, crashy punchline. I was like, oh, that guy's good. I remember you did a what was it? It was an impression of Rolling Stones lead singer. Why am I blanking?
Mick Jagger.
You did Mick Jagger impression.
My back, yes.
And you would turn around and you'd tell him you're getting ready or whatever, and then you would turn back around and you were holding a magnifying glass. That was one of your bits. No one's ever made that sound less funny in the world, but it was funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. It was I do it to start me up. It was a big deal for me early on. Yes.
Yeah.
It was my opener. I opened with my best joke.
Right.
And then, of course, it's not a joke. It's just, it's funny. I actually gave that joke away to somebody because I got to where I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then I saw a guy who had an act that I thought it would fit in because he had a whole string of things. And I was like, when you do that Jagger impression, what'd be funny is if you had a magnifying glass. And he was like, you think? I was like, yes, I got one in my car because I do that bit. And then, so I gave him the magnifying glass and the idea. You gave
him the joke and the prop?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And then I watched him do it from the crowd the next show, and I'd never seen it from the crowd's perspective. And I instantly had that, oh, no.
It wasn't as good as you thought?
No, it was better than I thought. Maybe it was just him that could do it better, but I didn't know how big my lips looked in it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're doing a physical bit. You didn't know what it looked like. That's hilarious. You're like, That shows how much of a writer you are. You just write the thing. You don't even care what it looks like, even if it's a physical gag. You didn't look in the mirror and try it out at home?
I guess, but you don't like get the full perspective when you're that close or whatever. I don't know. I just until I was sitting in the crowd and saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. So
Did you have giver's remorse?
yeah, I don't now. Now I'm like, thank God. You know what I'm saying? But I had that moment of, oh no, like how unfunny am I that it only worked a certain level for me? This guy.
Do I know who this comic is? I have a guess, but I'm not going to guess.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So 50 Toasts for the viewers who don't know, and for you too, maybe, Tom. I did a thing called 50 Lunches where I ran around and met a bunch of people that I kind of knew and knew really well, I hadn't seen for a while and whatever in New York a few years ago. It was just a great excuse to like see 50 friends in a year. And it was the best thing I did in New York, man. It was great. So
now, without putting somebody on the spot, who was if you had to go like favorite one, the one that kind of caught you off guard by how much you enjoyed it, like one you were looking forward to that maybe didn't live up to your, like it was something was just weird. You know how it goes. I mean, you have weird conversations sometimes.
yeah, boy, I'd have to look at the list to give you a good answer. If you're interested, I could probably pull up that list.
What jumps out as like one of the top ones?
Off the top of my head, I ended up having lunch with like 4 or 5 of the different poker players in the Eddie Brill game, because those guys I played cards with for like 15 years, like, 20 times a year. Like I kind of, in some ways, I knew them really well, and yet I never talked to them about anything substantive ever. Because once you get into that space, it's all about ball busting and dirty jokes and,
Right.
busting each other's balls about the cards and whatever's happening. So it was a completely different environment. So to like go and sit and talk to them as human beings was really great. It was guys that I knew but didn't know. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't bring the poker into that, like he's eating a sandwich and you're like, how's that sandwich? He's like, yeah, it's good. And you're like, you're bluffing. That sandwich isn't nearly as good as you're really
I did not do that.
Sorry. That's good.
Well, there's some interesting guys. J.R. Havlin, has a shelf full of Emmys. He wrote for The Daily Show forever. And, one of them was he taught middle school in like this kind of rough area. And he was also wrote a couple books. And one was a producer on Bill Maher and a bunch of other shows. There's some interesting dudes. And so just to like talk to them as humans was really a pleasure. And it was cool to like have the excuse to hang out with guys that I already knew and liked.
Right.
Just, we had to, I got to do 50 lunches. And then I would like made a plan instead of saying we would do it and not doing it. And then also I used it as an excuse to kind of meet up with some guys that I only vaguely knew. And that was great too. Guys I didn't even know yet. So it was cool. So
would you prepare or just kind of hey, let's do this and then show up?
Well, in that case, it wasn't public. It was just for me. We just had lunch, and I would buy him lunch, and we would hang out. And so it was cool. And then I kind of started a version when I came here to LA, and I met up with Jeff Cesario, who was like one of the first comics that I ever saw live. And he came to the University of Georgia when I was like, I don't know, 18, 17. And he just stood there flat-footed and was fucking great for an hour. And I was like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. So to get to sit and talk to him about his whole crazy career, he's done so many interesting things.
Right. Did you think the same thing when you left the lunch, where you're like, yeah, I want to be that guy when I grow up? Or did you have like...
Not as much, because he has a different bunch of things that he does that I don't want to do as much. But I definitely wanted to be a comic the way that he was when I saw him the first time. And I made that happen enough that he wanted to have lunch with me. So it was kind of this great success story. And actually, in talking to Jeff, it was the conversation with Jeff drove me to try harder at being independent from show business, because a lot of his story is, and then I was a writer on this show, and it was about to be a giant thing, and then it wasn't. And then I was hired to do this, and it was almost a giant thing, and then it wasn't. I mean, that's not Jeff. That's the nature of show business. But Jeff had a lot of those kind of stories. And by the way, he got into a really nice car and drove. I mean, he's doing fine. This is not Jeff had a tough time in life. That's not the point. The point is, I don't care about show business. I just want to be a comic and a creative
Right.
something in the world. So I didn't have envy with Jeff, but it was really cool to talk to him. And he's exactly what you want him to be. He's just like a sweetheart, thoughtful dude who's seen it all. You know, he did everything.
Yeah. Did you tell him did you tell him the story of seeing him in college and wanting to
Yeah, I did.
meet him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It was great. The first comic I ever saw live was Sam Kinison at the Civic Center when I was 17. And then when I was in college, yeah, I saw Jeff was like the first year, for sure. One of the first comics I ever saw live. And of course, you know, what Jeff did was seem more accessible than what Sam did. Sam was a fucking lunatic, you know.
But okay, because there really wasn't other places for you to go see comedy. You just were like Sam Kinison, and then you went and bought tickets to a major concert, like I did for Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Okay.
You saw Eddie Murphy live in that era?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
How was that?
I did not, well, because I was I was also 18, 19. So I was also I was at my max idiotness. So I was just like, I was hammered guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember hardly any of it because I was just really drunk and being real handsy with my girlfriend, and you know what I mean, just like embarrassingly drunk kind of guy, you know.
I never saw that. I've known you for 30 years and I missed that whole chapter. It's fascinating.
Yeah. It was a short it was a short story, but it was, you know, yeah.
People ruin their lives for decades before they clean up. You like just, it was like a blink of an eye. How long did you drink?
I started to I don't know, it's just basically whatever, 16, 17 to, when did I start comedy? So 25 or so, 25 or 26. And then, yeah. And then it was like, once I started doing comedy, I realized that was when I had that earthquake thing where I woke up in my hotel room with my chicken fingers all spread around me in the open box or whatever. And half of them were eaten. I'm driving home the next day from the gig with maybe Quake was driving. He was just like, dude, you need to quit drinking. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, what was the last thing you remember? And then I just realized if I want to be a comedian, I can't drink like that.
You love comedy more than tequila? That's pretty cool. I didn't know that's what happened.
Yeah. That was like sort of one of the final straw. But yeah, because I was get as drunk as possible guy. Get drunk, shots, wake up the next day, don't know how I got there. My car's outside, just idiotic.
You're 22. That's not insane. That's perfectly acceptable behavior at some level, right?
I guess so. But
Was this a bad time to do the toast?
I gotta quit. Plus, I got legacied into by my family to some rehab centers. You know how it went. You know what I mean? Right. They're like they were recruiting me early.
We've seen this shit. Yeah,
we've seen the potential in your genes.
All right, well, here's the toast for tonight. This is the perfect time to do it. May all of your troubles last as long as your New Year's resolutions.
That's great. Oh, there we go. I got coffee to toast with.
Cheers. I got water. I knew who I was talking to. Well, that's cool. So all right. So tell me about your first comedy experiences. Was Eddie Murphy the first comic you ever saw live?
I think it was.
That's fascinating. We both went, the big stars of the era. We went to a big ass show.
Yeah. And then, we kind of both did sort of the hack version of our time. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like what we saw on television that was popular. And you know what I mean? Like and then same with, I went and saw Dice in like on like a Coliseum tour, you know.
Me too. I saw him at South Florida in the basketball arena. It was sold out. I don't know what that number is, but it's many thousands. It was.
But he was playing the drums, and I mean, like he had a. It was like, anyway, it's like you can't. Now I look back and I'm like, wow, I watched that special, that Rodney Dangerfield special, and that you can go through the list of the comics that are on it, and I was like, oh, Dice, you know, and then.
Of course.
And then you learn about comedy and you go, oh, wait a minute, Dom Herrera and Robert Schimmel and
right
on that show, you know?
Yeah. But you know, some of those guys totally hold up. Kinnison was one of the best.
Yeah.
Liberace had died like 3 or 4 days prior, and he was acting out being butt fucked on the piano in the show that I went to see. So it was a different era, that's for sure. It was a different time. That was I remember the girlfriend that I only had for the 1 year, so it was 87. It was Valentine's night, 1987.
And you took her to go see Sam Kinison?
Yeah, and she was 2 years younger.
For Valentine's Day.
It was a double date. Me and my buddy took our girls to see Sam Kinison. That was my first comedy, and then when I got to Georgia,
I hope my son is also as stupid and takes his to go see Doug Stanhope.
Oh, really?
No. I'm being like, I'm just thinking of like more of a great comic that definitely like there's not a lot of women in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that shows subtle. Yeah. So then at Georgia, then eventually I worked my way into being on the program. Like we brought the comics to Georgia, and we had a huge budget. So I met Gilbert Gottfried and Carol Leifer and Emo Phillips, and we had lots of good comics come through. Wayne Felton, and
those are good. Emo was, yeah,
it was great.
He was another one, man. I remember, like, we've talked about this before. I remember him being like, Emo is one of my favorite comics to read. You know what I mean? Like, such a great joke writer.
Yeah.
And and then I saw him live, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was like Wendy Liebman to me. Like somehow the persona, the short set persona, sort of had me thinking, I don't know if I can. That thing holds up for me for a long period of time. And they both of them were just like, holy fuck, are they great at comedy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. Emo's another one that I had a full circle kind of experience with. In fact, he called me last week and we talked about some of the crazy stuff going on. He's like, I talk to him about once a year. Like he's kind of, you know, he's not a close friend, but you know, we're friendly. He's good. He had me come along and open for him in Vegas last year, and I'm a huge fan. I watched every minute of all of the shows. I mean,
same here.
He's great. I would put him. He's one of those guys. He's one of those sneaky guys that I think is in the conversation of the best comics of all time. That most people wouldn't.
Wow, I would have never thought that. But I think you're right. That's a good call.
I mean, he's not top 5, but he's top 30. But ever? I mean, that's pretty high praise. Ever?
That's true.
He's
that's
15
a good point.
Or 19 or something. I don't know.
19. That's the funniest number.
All right. So then how did you go from occasionally watching comics to becoming a comic?
I don't know, man. You just start doing it here and there, and then next thing you know, you're a comedian.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, I mean,
you should do that.
I didn't really take it seriously, right? It was just like, go to this open mic, and like at this time that was what it was. It was like, oh, you go, that's where I drank. And they had an open mic, and I was like, I'm fucking funnier than that guy. You know what I mean? And so I would get up there and not, and then I was like, well, I got to do that again, you know? So and then you sort of fall into like, I sort of fell in love with it instead of like, I got to do that, you know? And then over time, I mean, I loved comedians. I loved Eddie. I loved Carlin. I used to listen to Cosby, you know what I mean? Like, it's just in you, you know, once you start doing it, you're like, oh, I got to do this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I
realized I could do, you know, and then, movies like JoJo Dancer, and I don't know, something about I just was really attracted to it. And it was like, and then I got into like the the sort of like that. There's something about the Kinnisons and the Hickses and the Carlins and something about that sort of like even all of it. It's just a smart ass sort of call culture on its bullshit that I just sort of really liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had exactly the same experience. I loved it. I felt like with Carlin, he was funny enough that he got to tell you what he thought about the world too. You know,
Right.
there's something about that I was really drawn to, and just the funny
And
for funny's sake is enough. You know,
if I could write a Hedberg set that was just jokes,
right?
that'd be awesome. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. That has plenty of merit too. Like a Stephen Wright. I don't know what he thinks about the world, but who cares? You know?
No shit.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I joke with my son about jokes, like just like he was like, you should just he was giving me just talking to me saying you should do TikTok videos and just do jokes. Don't do any of your economy jokes or your jokes about the world and farming. Just do jokes.
I love this anecdote.
Yes. He's like, do the Zorse joke or do the locksmith joke or do the
right.
do joke like yeah. So
Did you do it?
No, I haven't, but I'm considering doing jokes like just because I've always seen jokes as it's a chunk of material, like here's the chunk on whatever, here's the chunk on my son and him being born. And it's about trying to build to these sort of 5 to 7 minute things.
Right. But you could do one line for TikTok, pull it out of there.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said before, keep trying a couple different things, just figure out a way.
40 years too old. Otherwise, you're perfect for TikTok.
Oh, that's what I told him. It's like, dude, I was like, how about if I write jokes and you make the videos telling them? You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
better. Yeah, it's a better combination of TikTok.
Right. I see people on there doing like lip syncing to comics albums, and I'm just like, why don't you just do that with some of my like? You like the Zorse joke? Go for it.
TikTok I do not see the appeal of it at all, but man, it's a phenomenon.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I just want to figure out a way to be a comedian still and write and tell jokes. It's fun. It's like, that's my whole life. I can't even believe that's the truth, that I can say that, but that's, what else is there?
Yeah, I agree. You earned it. It's hard to do. You pulled it off up until 2 months ago. You were killing it. Now what do we do?
I'll ask you about the sort of virtual show. Did you just do it just like that? Like how you're sitting right now in front of your blinds and wall and just sort of go like, hey, everybody, it's jokes and football.
I worked a little harder at building the situation. I had headphones and a little speaker thing, and I had a background. I did some version of, see if I could pull it up for you here. I did this thing. So that I sort of embraced that it was sort of a cyber weird thing that we were doing.
Right.
And I think it was the right choice. Actually, it looks weird. It's a lot less natural, but it isn't. It wasn't natural. It was a weird like 2020 show, So I just embraced it and made it that. It was fun.
It is. It's fun. That's what I mean. It's fun.
I was standing, like I set up a situation, so I was standing, and it was sort of like belly button to head kind of shot. And it was a little more stand-up-y. I did some of the little things to make it more stand-up-y. I loved it. I enjoyed it. If I thought it was sustainable to do them more often, I probably would. I don't think it is.
Right.
I think everyone who was willing to come to that show did. And I used them all up.
Yeah, you did your first, it's like a bringer show?
Yeah, that was it. Like I can't bring any more people. Everyone already came to one.
Well, just write a new show. What's the matter with you? You write new sets every week.
I mean, you know what? I have to say, there's definitely more leeway for a joke that's not quite fully baked. And you can use your screen a little bit with notes and stuff. So it's actually, you could do shows more. You could turn material over faster in this format. But
what's your favorite new joke?
My favorite new joke? Boy, I don't know. I did some stuff off the top that was fun. It was sort of about the situation, like welcome. Can I say welcome to people who are in their own homes? I don't know. Wait, well, thanks for coming. You didn't go anywhere. You're home. Thanks for going nowhere.
That's,
You know, I did some of that kind of stuff, and I did some COVID jokes that were fun. You know, I don't know.
I love that. I love that. That like that. You know how somehow I have a way of being complimentary and somehow it comes out wrong. Anyway, that's one of the things that you go for
Yes,
me,
I
like
do.
you when you write a joke, you just like, it's not, you do the punchline. And at the first one, I'm always like, yeah, that's all right. And in my head, I'm like, aha. And then it's like, they just keep coming. And like, when I think, all right, he's done with that, when it's like in my head mentally, it's like, I feel like that was, you just keep going on the run, and it's just, that kind of stuff always just cracks me up. I just love it.
I did it like we built shows when we were open micers. I like went through my Twitter feed and pulled out all my favorite like jokes from the past couple of months and made sure I did all those. All
Oh,
about
cool. So you charge the people that you love most to watch you open mic it and read your Twitter feed?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're like, these are just the
yeah,
jokes that,
yeah.
what if, did you have
Paid my
anybody
rent.
that liked their delivery better? You know what I
Paid
mean?
my
Like when
rent
they
with
read,
it.
like, I think I've proved, follow me on Twitter. I'm a much funnier comic to read. You can,
Not all of them, like chose the ones that fit the stand-up universe. I'm a professional, Tom Simmons.
like I open for you on your special and I just, on your next one, and I read your Twitter feed first. And we see you.
Oh, I'm panicked. I don't know what I'm going to do.
The audio book of Costaki Economopoulos.
You know, it's weird. I had probably 10 minutes of really good stuff about the pandemic from like the last week of working clubs.
Oh, okay.
And so I like, you know, got all that back in my head. That was fun to do. You know, it was like, you know how we do. You're good at this. When there's a giant thing that we're all talking about, you write about that for a while. And that was the
Yes.
thing that week. And so I wrote a bunch of jokes and we were all talking about it. And
Yeah. I go back and forth, you know, like I had those 3 years where I was doing the videos where I was like writing constantly, like topical and just in the new.
right.
And then I'll go where it's like, I just don't even watch or pay attention much, except I see headlines and what everybody else is sort of talking about. And there's nothing. And then I see a story and it's like, blam, blam, blam. Like somehow, you know, it's like,
Right.
consumes me for 3 or 4 days. And there's so much written.
Yeah. Now, is it newsy stuff still that gets you going the most, or is it you write a good joke about the kid and then you build on that?
I don't know. It's really all over the place. The way, you know, it's like I was trying to think of material that I've written in the last week or so that I could kind of throw at you for this. Because like, if I'm going to talk to Costaki, I need to pick his brain like the old days and get him to write a bunch of jokes for me. You know what I mean?
Get you to write the jokes for me. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And so, but I haven't been writing much lately, you know. The closest I can today, I was trying to think of the connection between the president pulling out of a treaty and all the women he's been with. You know what I mean? It's like I have all that wordplay, you know, topical joke writing stuff in my head. But
Right.
I know I'm trying to, because I'm really doomsday. You know what I mean? I wake up some days and I'm just like, the end is near.
I know. I've talked to you. I know. But it goes back and forth, right? I mean, at least it does for me. Like some days I'm like, what the fuck? There's never going to be a thing. They haven't found a vaccine for AIDS. We're going to be in this weird limbo forever. This comedy's dead. And I'm going to have to move back in with my mother. You know, like I have all this, like, how am I going to raise a child? And then there are other days where it's just, you go outside and you can't believe how beautiful it is. And you laugh with your wife and
Yes.
have a drink and
Yes.
play online poker, whatever that is for you. Life's pretty much intact, the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. It's actually really good. You know, it's funny. I was moving a shelf in my house or whatever, but I was putting I'm setting it up as sort of my office area, and I was putting some of my old comedy writing books on the shelf, and so I started looking back through some of the topics and stuff to see if, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's interesting to do, to sort of go like, oh, I forgot about that somehow. How did I forget to take that angle was good? Why didn't I explore that more? You know, and
I haven't done that
what
in
was
a
I
while.
thinking about? And some of the topics are even sort of similar. The sort of you can't change the world until you change yourself. You know what I mean? And this whole how big the universe is. Your mom actually turned me on to some book like the Celestine Prophecy or something like that made me sort of snap out of Christianity, even though it's
It's a little Christian-y.
huh?
It's a little churchy, that book, in its own way, right? Am I remembering?
They all are. You know, they all are. So, but yeah, some of that. Anyway, that's like you could see some of that, and especially that time period of writing and stuff. And
Well, you're a better comic now than you were then. Can you look at those premises and make them better now? Does one jump out and then you go off on a tear and write a whole new thing?
I can maybe, but it's not about going back and getting them. It's like, oh, some of the topics are still the same. You know what I mean? Like the environment and you know, or a big issue like spirituality or something, or atheism or healthcare. That's another thing. Like it's like you see like how I wanted to change the world. We used to walk around in your room upstairs writing jokes. It's like, right. I just want to change the world. It's like, dude, I can't even write a good joke about healthcare. Would you shut the fuck up with your change the world, jackass? Like I find myself heckling.
This has been like the running gag of our careers forever. It's so funny. I used to try so hard to put messages in my jokes, and you're like, just write something funny. Stop trying to tell everybody something they got to learn or know about. Just you're so infuriated. Just be funny. And then you grew up and you're the political guy, and I avoided that subject like the plague as a grown-up. It's funny.
Yeah. Anyway. Sometimes we have conversations and I'm just like, we get off and I'm like, dude, that was good radio.
Yeah.
You know? What do you got? What do you got that you're working on? That's what I want to hear. Some jokes that we can sort of.
You want to work on some jokes?
Yes.
Radio's dead. It's. I was just saying earlier, like it's. Some of my friends they're fine. They're working at home and they still have jobs and they don't have kids and their lives are simple and fun and it hasn't really gotten bad for them. And some of my comedian friends are freaking the fuck out, you know? And my second income is radio, which is that business is,
yes. How's your newspaper column doing? How's that doing?
I know, right? If you can't, right. I got to write more greeting cards. You know, I'm on the cutting edge of media.
You can't fail, dude. That's the thing. If you can write comedy, there's always a way. You know what I mean? You can put together a Twitter show.
Radio is definitely struggling because you can't open your chair store, so you can't advertise your chair store. Like radio's really having a tough time right now.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of counting on the fact that I'm kind of counting on the Arctic melting being a big deal and not having to worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can make it through the end of the summer. Now, here's the thing. Like, I realized today they got an email that my son's baseball team is going to start practicing on Tuesday. Right?
What? Tuesday?
I know. So it's been like
2021.
Yeah. It's been like a whole, you know, cancellation of baseball for 2.5 months. Like, you know, and my son just loves it, and it's fun to watch him do it. And I have like oh good, and then I'm like, wait a minute, like why am I? It seems like I hope they're training on fucking like I know they got to work on ground balls and hitting and avoiding being a fucking guinea pig. I don't know that I want my son to be a guinea pig for this, especially like we're coming out of this. There has to be.
Great question. Although baseball at least is far away. I mean, you're not near anybody when you're in the field. But you got to come in and out. If you're in the van and you're at the dugout and you're touching the same ball, and there's a lot of things going on there.
MLB's doing a no spitting,
No
no
spitting?
high fiving. Yes, no spitting, no high fiving, and something else. But it's
Breathing?
no high. Well, they're pretty far apart, like you say. You know what I'm saying? But no spitting in baseball. What the?
First, no crying. Now this?
now next they're going to take away guys grabbing their crotches in the middle of the game. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's baseball. They're spitting sunflower seeds everywhere. I guess now they got to worry about.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So I was like, I have initial excitement, like, oh, cool, he gets to go and get out of the house. But then I'm really torn. I'm really by the,
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be wearing a mask. He's a catcher. You know what I'm saying? So he has a catcher's mask.
All right.
I think that counts.
Yeah, does it? You can just wear those into Walmart now?
That'd be funny. Like if people start showing up with those, they're like, that's how much dicks they want to be. They want to not wear a mask so much that they're like, fuck it.
Mask and
how about this?
Right. A Richard Nixon mask. He said wear a mask. One of those Mardi Gras masks that's just from here up, with the little swirl on top. I'm wearing a mask. Le bon temps roulé.
Yeah, man. I'm very sorry about this car thing,
I'm kind of digging it. It's very gritty and real. It's actually interesting lighting on you.
Dude, I gotta do a rant. I gotta get a rant going in the car. What kind of comic am I? I'm not pissed off at the world and be like, I gotta tell you how the world works. Here's the thing. That kid went to the ball with a gun that none of you fuckers should have been there in the first place. I gotta tell you.
You're hanging in.
Here's my TikTok video. Sometimes when I'm driving in the car and my wife is teaching me how to drive, right? Even get mad or say anything, right? I just reach over quietly and turn off the passenger airbag.
Okay. All right.
Click.
That's so far the best thing I've ever seen on TikTok right there.
TikTok Tom. That's going to be my name.
That's way better than my kid lip syncing a song for 7.5 seconds or whatever they do.
Dude, I say get your kid, your youngest, cutest kid, right? Okay. Not that the other one's not beautiful and cute too. But
you said,
you know how they have like the people doing like their lip syncing, for best lack of a better word, like a Ron White bit or like a Wanda Sykes bit?
I have not seen that. Is that what's happening now?
Like they just play, like I've seen them, they just play the track or that part of the track, and then they sort of just do the words and stuff over it. And they have kind of an act out, right? So you get your baby to do your bits.
Do I do her mouth like a?
Yep, and then you just move the mouth and you just play the audio of your track. And you're like, how many grapes can you go in the store and steal before they freak out and throw you out of the store? And then she can give like a little like happy googly face when people start laughing, and then cut. That's the end.
It's too long, actually, for TikTok.
This should be getting likes right now. There should be happy faces scrolling.
All right, it's not your worst idea.
Yes. So true. So true.
Hey, did you notice I'm wearing a shirt that has a curse of Costaki sewn in? Look at that. I was just looking in the closet. I can't wear a cream-colored shirt with this background, and I pulled this out. This is from a show I did. They made me a shirt. The Shriners in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. They're awesome.
It's funny when I first came on, I was going to mock you a little bit and say, "What? You wore your bowling shirt? Like
it's a ridiculous
what
shirt.
What are you doing?"
It's actually super comfortable, and I love that they made one for me. And it's the last time I had a curse of Costaki sewn into a piece of clothing was when I was a Cracker Barrel waiter.
Really?
Imagine? Yeah, the brown with the curse of gold Costaki sewn in by a grandmother. That was the era.
How'd that go with the Cracker Barrel, dude? Like that was in the Cracker Barrel in Georgia? Were they a little like Costaki?
Yeah, they were.
What?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to have earrings. That was one of the rules.
Yeah. Did you have earrings at the time?
No, it was not an issue for me. But I was annoyed by the rule. I thought it was a dumb
Dude,
rule.
how old are you that you're like, when I was a kid, we couldn't wear earrings in public?
Well, later it became a big thing that they wouldn't hire gays or whatever. And I actually boycotted Cracker Barrel for a while as a young adult. Later, when I was really young, I worked there. I didn't know it was happening.
You perpetuated it, dude. It's like
Yeah,
if your
I was
like if your
part of
kid
the
went to work
problem.
for Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, they
You
got
know,
good family values over there. They don't even
I
open
don't
it. I think.
I don't like Chick-fil-A. I mean, I like Chick-fil-A's food, but I hate their policies. Right?
Agreed. That's how I feel about
So
Coors.
that's right. So what I do to boycott Chick-fil-A is I don't eat there on Sundays. I'm doing bits. That was a bit.
I like it. Write it down for TikTok. I'll follow you on TikTok.
Can you edit these and put it out for me? Because that's what I really need. I need to do it. How do I?
That is what you really need. You need a TJ of TikTok. That's what you need.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, TJ's doing that kind of stuff now. It's not TikTok, but it's YouTube.
Yeah, I was thinking like now that they open nail salons in states like Georgia and stuff,
Are you doing more?
right? Does that mean that what's the comedian that he represents that's how she got famous, was doing the impression of getting her nails done?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. That's not a TJ person, is it?
Yes.
Oh,
I
really?
think so. Angela Johnson,
It's a funny bit.
can she get back to work now? Just like on a grandfathered in, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Now that you're doing bits, you're doing weird inside bits no one could possibly follow.
I've forgotten that no way anybody's been watching this is still watching. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just having a conversation with my friend
This guy in
Costaki.
his car, we don't care anymore.
Yes. I got no power. I'm worried about this, man. It's like, I
It's
want to get
probably already
solar
back.
power. I want to get solar power, like, so that I have backup at all times because this kind of shit's going to happen more and more as the world's collapsing more and more. I got to be able to be on the grid and off the grid. You know what
You're
I'm
the
saying?
guy that needs the solar panels for sure. Then
Yes.
you're an environmentalist and a doomsday guy. You check both the boxes.
So I'm trying not to be. I'm hoping I'm insane. You know, when my wife starts talking about, you know, what my son's going to be when he grows up and stuff like that, I just sort of nod along, like that'll be good.
Throw the plate down and go, what are you talking about? Is this not going to be a world then, dumbass? You don't say that, so that's good.
No,
You're all grown up.
Yes, I used to do that kind of stuff at Thanksgiving with my family, where I would ruin Thanksgiving. Tom's ruining
Why you
Thanksgiving.
don't drink? This is good.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever have the urge to drink? Was it 30 years later?
You know, it's interesting. I've been watching the show Billionaires, and the way they just drink like it's part of the, like, all day long. People are drinking little glasses of whiskey and stuff like that. It's like it was like that old show about the 50s and 60s advertising, Mad Men or whatever, where they're just always drinking.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
No, not really. I sort of missed out on drinking wine and just, you know, but the point is I never figured out how to drink a couple, get a buzz, and be like, I'm cool with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't see the point. I don't see the point in not getting hammered. But maybe I just never got through that. I don't know, but I don't want to take that chance because I got too many other things.
I was curious.
Yeah. I don't mean to. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that you do. I was just curious.
It's funny. I was thinking about my wife. She doesn't drink. She doesn't drink either, but she doesn't. But I was thinking, man, I'm glad. Like when you're together all the time and stuff, I'm glad that she doesn't drink, because people, when they're drunk, they end up being a little overly honest. You know what I mean? Not that my wife's not honest with me; she's very honest. But I don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing about drinking and arguing is you get a little, you know what I mean? You go past where
Yeah,
where
I
you
do
should.
know.
Yes.
My
Do you
wife's
do that in
Italian.
yours?
My wife's Italian. I have the same problem sober.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's what made me do the joke in the first place. Of you going, you talking about your kid being older, like, wait, are you out of your fucking mind, right? That's the thing. Those are the beats that you could stave off if you're sober.
Yes.
You're making good
Yes.
decisions.
How many times do I got to tell you? It's all going to be over in 3 years. Look at the story I saw from the guy who lives in a van about how the Arctic's melting, and it's all going to be over for all of us. What are you talking about? He's going to go play baseball and graduate. He needs to do his math homework. He needs to be training on how to survive in 130 degrees. Okay, with melting nuclear waste facilities.
This is good.
Yes, so that's that. Yeah, so I don't do any of that.
What you want to avoid. This is why you don't have wine and beer. That's good.
I'm an idiot. Can you delete this whole thing when we do this again?
No, it's all live. It already happened. It's already too late. It's already out there. This is on the internet forever.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
Oh my God.
That's wonderful. I was joking around today because somebody was like, "Oh no!" Like Stuart Huff, and I talked to him about this. He sees the same thing happening, but with like a longer, terrible collapse, like where we're turning on each other, and there's just more and more terribleness. Right? I don't know why I need more hope-filled people in my life. Is what I need. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, so you think it's going to be about like an 8-year-long dragging out of just where it gets worse and worse and compounds and compounds. He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's hopeful. You know what I mean? That's
on the bell curve of hopefulness. He's one notch this way from you. That's
yes.
Okay. that's something.
So what I'm saying is sometimes I wake up with that in my head, or it flashes into my head on the day. But I generally now I'm trying to not pay attention to that because it's a little overwhelming. You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
It makes me feel like a crazy person.
I know. I definitely have had days where I'm just like, it's hard, man. It's hard to. There's so many things about my life that are not even a little bit like they were 3 months ago. It's weird how fast it just dropped off a cliff and changed. And there are some things about this that are fine and some that are fantastic, but some of it is really hard to handle. And I miss stuff. I mean, I miss the simple act of telling jokes and shaking hands and, you know.
Oh, I love not shaking the hands. Oh, this I'm saying, this was.
Oh, you're excited about the no hands? That's over?
After the show, don't hang out and glad hand and.
Yeah, that's over.
Beg for people's approval. No, that's gone. That's
over. That's
now I'm not an asshole for not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, he's just like everybody else.
Are you getting out in the rain? Is that what's happening?
Well, there was a constant, like, big, loud drip coming down from the light that's above where I'm parked, and it was thudding the roof, and I thought it might be bothering your listeners. So
I didn't hear it yet, so we're okay. But we are kind of at the end of the thing. Is there anything you want to plug or anything else you want to do before we run away?
No, man. I'm just going to plug whatever you're doing. Listen to the Costaki Economopoulos on Bob and Tom.
That's right. Co-author right here.
There's some punchlines in there that the Simmons kid wrote.
That's right, for sure.
Make the cut. And
those you'll be happy to know that those are killing it lately. We did the animal mating rituals ones. There are 2 of them. Remember that? We wrote all the jokes about the crazy animal penises that come off and all the different weird things. The barnacle can reach across 7 barnacles with his penis. Like, I thought it was rude to reach across the table for the salt. You know, all that stuff. Those jokes are killing it again. It's fun.
Yes.
It's weird how much time we spent on them.
This is so your fans realize when me and you started writing together in Atlanta, and basically we met at an open mic, and then you said a bunch of crappy places. I thought, like, waiting in line at the punchline to try to get up there, and that Caffeine's, we were lucky enough to have that coffee shop that was right there, that we could always get stage time and feel like we were good at comedy, you know? And then,
right.
And then the drives to Chattanooga and we sort of hit the road, and we would do all that writing in your mom's thing. And just, when you were talking about doing the 50 lunches, I was chuckling to myself thinking about the bet you lost to me of the 10-year bet to finish the Gene Paret comedy writing workbook.
That's right.
You know?
I did not think I was gonna. We had a 10-year bet. That's been 10 years ago. I mean, that's how long we've been friends.
Yeah.
We had a bet. You got a Gene Paret comedy writing workbook, and it was ridiculously extensive. It had exercises upon exercises. And I bet you wouldn't finish it in 10 years, and you fucking mailed it to me. Done.
At the 9-year mark.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Yes. I think I might still have that stuff. I got to send it back to you.
Yeah, there wasn't probably one joke that I wrote in all those exercises that ever made my comedy.
Come on, really? That can't be true.
That's what's so hard about comedy writing, right? It's same with the fucking morning pages, the Julia Cameron morning pages, getting up and writing those for 40 minutes. Like, there's no jokes in those books.
Right. Yeah.
And then like you said, then you're walking into 7-Eleven on your but because of all that other writing, boom, here's a joke.
That's right. Yeah, that's the best thing you ever said right there. That's so true. It's the act of writing makes you better at the process, but just sitting down and doing it doesn't mean you're going to have something at the end that's worth a shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, but we normally did, like when we'd pick a topic and just really go after it, it would be like exhaustive how many angles just to look for to go do that, to get to this and that. What about this and this and that, every cliche. And those were fun to write, man. I should go back and listen to some of those. Yeah,
they're fun. They're actually on YouTube. Some of them are on YouTube. The CD Baby put a bunch of them on YouTube. I guess they get teeny tiny trickle of a penny here and there.
Right. Let's maybe you do those with TikTok. Have your kid and then the Greeks they flew into the sun. And then get one of the stuffed animals to laugh like Bob. You know what I mean? have like a
put the arms through the thing and do I put my arms through hers and
grumpy faced chick teddy bear that just sort of
Oh, nice. That's funny you say that, because they posted a video of a recent Economopoulos and everyone in the room is laughing really hard except for Chick. It's funny.
Well, dude.
All right, so watch and or listen on Bob and Tom, 8:20 on Tuesday mornings for the Economopoulos, featuring some jokes written by Simmons over here. I've committed to doing this fantasy throwback show. It's Wednesday nights at 9 right here on Facebook Live. And I've committed to this time slot as well. Probably going to do 50 toasts for a while on Thursday nights here at 9. Check out Patreon. I haven't even really promoted it yet, but I've kind of quietly launched a Patreon membership. Go to Patreon, type in Costaki, and you'll be off and running. And yeah, I'm the worst plugger in the world. Anyway, follow Tom Simmons. He's a great follow on Facebook in particular. A lot of really good jokes, man. If I want to go shit because someone wrote a great joke and I didn't, I'll look at your page. It's always does that for me.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for talking to me, and even extra thanks for leaving your house and finding a place to park and talking to me in the car.
Yeah, I was supposed to be going to to Lowe's and getting a power supply, but whatever. This is hopefully she's not on Facebook.
We're like photo negatives. You have a white shirt, I have a dark shirt, I have a white background. You're in the dark. I'm wearing a white hat. You got darkish hair. Crazy. Some white sneaking in.
My chin looks as old as your hat. All right, good job. Talk to you soon, man.
Great to talk to you, man. I miss you, brother. I love you. Take it easy. I'll talk to you down the road.
All right, bye.